Hey y'all, Jamie here from Country Diggers. Today's video is going to be a continuation of soda bottles. Information on soda bottles. We'll be talking about Uncle Joe, Mellow Yellow, Fanta, and Crush. Alright, stay tuned. Okay, I thought we'd start with Uncle Joe. And I got this one on an auction on Finding Goodies 2. And this is Uncle Joe's in a brown bottle. It's 1929. And I'll tell you a little something about Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe's. Alright. Joseph Glaser was born in Russia in 1876 and came to America about 1888 with his family. They settled in St. Louis, where in 1889, Joe and his brother Louis founded Star Bottling Company. In St. Louis, Joe met and married Ida Feldman. Joe's brother Louis moved to Dallas, where in 1909, he established Jumbo Bottling Company, which was soon renamed Real Juice Bottling Works. Lewis and his wife Bessie and their children worked at the bottling works and sold soft drinks from the back of a horse-drawn wagon. But by 1912, Joe and Ida were in Fort Worth, owners of Star Bottling Company. According to Courtney Glaser, a great-granddaughter of Joe and Ida had worked for a chemist at a Kansas City bottling company and knew how to formulate extracts for soft drinks. The Star bottles had a six-sided star embossed on the bottom. I can't remember if I showed you this or not, but there it is right there with the patent date, 1929. And, let's see, where was I? Oh, yeah. In the 1920 census, Joe, Ida, and daughter Florence were respectively proprietor, bookkeeper, and helper at the bottling company. By 1921, the company was called Star High Grade Cola Bottling Company and had moved from Terry Street to 1111 East Front, that's Lancaster today, Street. By 1923, daughter Ida had joined the family workforce. Courtney Glaser says that, according to family lore, Uncle Joe bought retired horses from the fire department to haul the bottles. The problem was that the bottling company was also a few blocks from a fire station. Every time the fire bells sounded, the horses were often running, bottles bouncing and breaking in the wagon behind them. By 1928, Uncle Joe was using trucks instead of horses, and his Star Bottling Company had become Uncle Joe Bottling Company. Joe Glaser himself built the bottling plant and the family home next door. The original Uncle Joe soft drink was a fruit punch sold in a brown bottle. Then it was Ida's turn to have a soda pop named after her. The Aunt Ida flavor was made with a lemon lime extract from Armour and Company. Other Uncle Joe flavors were cola, Texas Cola, Red Rock Cola, and sugarcane, a cream soda. Siphon water and seltzer water were two more Uncle Joe products over in Dallas. Brother Lewis's Real Juice soft drink soft drinks would be a root beer called Woozy, named after Lewis and Bessie's grandson, Robert Samuel Glazer, whose nickname was Woozy. After Prohibition ended in 1933, Lewis Glazer would brand out into liquor and be granted one of Texas' first alcohol distribution licenses. Glazer's distributing company delivered alcohol to clubs and liquor stores that began springing up in Parch, Texas. Lewis's sons, Max, Fritz, and Nolan, expanded Glazer's statewide as liquor provided profits that soft drinks did not. Glazer's distributing continues today as Southern Glazer's Wine and Spirits. By 1935, after Prohibition ended, Uncle Joe also branched out into alcohol distributing. The beer that made Milwaukee famous, the can that opens a beer bottle. By 1941, sons Willard and Yale were working with Joe and Ida. It was Willard who came up with the idea of selling Uncle Joe orange soft drink to the school district. Soft drink sales, Courtney Glazer says, were largely seasonal at the time. Getting Uncle Joe into schools gave the company added sales from September through May. Uncle Joe Glazer had died in 1944, and his sons Yale, Willard, and Marvin had inherited the business. In the late 1940s, the Pepsi-Cola bottler in Fort Worth went bankrupt. The brothers bought the Pepsi franchise, expanded their plant, and by 1949, Uncle Joe Pepsi-Cola Company and Uncle Louis Glazer's bottling plant in Dallas were selling Pepsi-Cola. The Fort Worth Glazers also sold their flavor extract in Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. And two of Joe and Ida's daughters opened their own bottling franchise. Daughter Florence and husband Clarence Goldberg set up shop in Shreveport, Louisiana in 1930. The Aunt Ida flavor became popular there, and artist Earl Moran was commissioned to provide a work for billboards featuring Miss Aunt Ida. Earl Moran was best known for his pinup paintings. One of his models in the late 1940s was Marilyn Monroe. Another soft drink bottler, the Shreveport franchise, was Joy's, named after Florence and Clarence's daughter, Joy. In Alexandria, Louisiana, Joe and Ida's daughter Edna and husband Milton Fox opened a franchise. One of their soft drinks was Sunny Boy. The Sunny Boy flavor was likely named after Joe and Ida's son Marvin. The Fort Worth and Shreveport bottling operations were the strongest and survived into the 1970s and 80s as Pepsi-Cola bottling companies. Today, the site of Uncle Joe bottling plant in Fort Worth is a vacant lot in the shades of the 135 to 130 Mixmaster. And Joe and Ida Glazer are buried in Oliveth Shalom Cemetery. All right, Uncle Joe's. All right, next we have Crush. Now, I only got the one Crush. I know people like the brown ones. I like the brown ones too. But I don't have a brown one. I just have a white one. But it's still a nice bottle. And like I said, I don't have good label on it, but still, it's a nice bottle. All right, Crush. This is a 1970s bottle. And in 1911, Clayton J. Howell, president and founder of the Orange Crush Company, partnered with Neil C. Ward and incorporated the company. Ward made the recipe for Orange Crush. Howell was not new to the soft drink business, having introduced Howell's Orange Julep. Soft drinks of the time often carried the surname of the inventor along with the product name. Howell sold the rights to use his name in conjunction with his first brand. Therefore, Ward was given the honors. Crush was first premiered as Ward's Orange Crush. Originally, Orange Crush included orange pulp in the bottles, giving it a fresh squeezed illusion, even though the pulp was added rather than remaining from squeezed oranges. Pulp has not been in bottles for decades. Crush was purchased by Procter & Gamble in 1980, with the exception of the Canadian rights, which were purchased in 1984. In 1989, Cadbury Swipes acquired Crush USA from Procter & Gamble Company. Cadbury Swipes spun off its United States beverage business as Dr. Pepper Snapple Group, predecessor of Keurig Dr. Pepper in 2008. Excuse the cat. Bottles were originally ribbed and were made of brown glass at one point. That would have been the brown glass one. I wish I had a brown glass one, but initially Orange Crush came in the ribbed or crinkly clear glass bottle like this, I guess, but I like the brown. The brown amber glass bottle was introduced in 1937 and is known as the crinkly brown. Now, this one is like 1970s. So they went back to the clear, I guess. The brown amber glass bottle was introduced in 1937 and is known as the crinkly brown bottle. The bottle design changed again in 1955, leaving the amber glass and crinkles behind. So this bottle was called the Big New Bottle and was intended to give the product a larger and more graceful look. Crush. All right, next we have Fanta. This is a 1969 bottle, and it's a Fanta. All right. During World War II, the United States established a trade embargo against Nazi Germany, making the export of Coca-Cola syrup difficult. To circumvent this, Max Keith, the head of Coca-Cola Deutschland, decided to create a new product for the German market, using only ingredients available in Germany at the time, including sugar beet, whey, a cheese byproduct, and apple pomace. He later described them as the leftovers of leftovers. The name was the result of a brainstorming session, which started with Keith's exhorting his team to use their imagination. Fantasy in Germany, to which one of his salesmen, Joe Knipp, retorted, Fanta. The German plant was cut off from Coca-Cola headquarters following America's entry into the war, following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. After the war, Coca-Cola Company regained control of the plant formula and the trademark to the new Fanta product, as well as the plant profits made during the war. In 1943, 3 million cases of Fanta were sold in Germany. Many bottles were not consumed as a beverage, but used as a cooking ingredient to add sweetness and flavor to soups and stews, as sugar was severely rationed during the war. The Dutch Coca-Cola plant in Amsterdam suffered the same difficulties as the German Coca-Cola plant. Keith put the Fanta brand at the disposal of the Dutch Coca-Cola plant, of which he had been appointed the official caretaker. Dutch Fanta had a difficult recipe from German Fanta. Different recipe from German Fanta. Elderberries being one of the main ingredients. Fanta production was discontinued in 1949. In 1955, in Naples, production of a new formula with oranges began. The modern-day orange Fanta was first introduced in Naples, Italy, in 1955 by a local bottling plant using locally sourced oranges. The design of the classic annihilated bottle comes from these years. Fanta. Next we have Mellow Yellow. Okay, this is a 1984 Mellow Yellow. Okay. And Mellow Yellow was produced, distributed, and created by the Coca-Cola Company. That was introduced on March 12, 1979, to compete with PepsiCo's Mountain Dew. Mellow Yellow was withdrawn from Australia in the early 1990s, being replaced with the similar but uncaffeinated Lift. In South Africa in the 1980s, Mellow Yellow became associated with the apartheid South African police and their notorious canary-colored vehicles. There have been 3 flavored variants of Mellow Yellow in North America. Mellow Yellow Cherry was released in response to Mountain Dew Code Red. The other 2 variants were Mellow Yellow Afterglow, which was a peach flavored, and Mellow Yellow, which is a melon. All 3 were only available for a limited time. The national expansion ended in 2021 when Mellow Yellow availability limited to the eastern part of the United States. However, it is still sold as a fountain drink at various locations, including Arby's, Cracker Barrel, Hardee's, Golden Corral, and Culver's. Mellow Yellow. All right, hope y'all enjoyed.
I'ma have to bust a click. I'ma have to bust. I'ma